Have you ever heard of the ghost of Halo 3? Or maybe that every single copy of Mario 64 is personalized? From ghosts lurking in the files of your favorite game, to disturbing images never meant to be found, to coconuts with the ability to crash entire programs, gamers have always attempted to document the unsettling and unexplained happenings from their favorite games. And when it comes to my favorite game, Team Fortress, there seems to be a lack of these mysteries. And after researching this topic, I've reached into the community and pulled out 7 different creators with 7 different chilling stories. Everything that you're about to hear is 100% true. These are Team Fortress stories to tell in the dark.
If you've played any amount of TF2, you may be familiar with Robin Walker. I mean, he was the creator of the game. Someone you may not have heard about is the story of his brother, the late... I'm sorry, hold on. Let me compose myself. Someone you may not have heard about is the story of his brother, the late Brian Walker. Ever since birth, they were a tag team. Anything they did alongside each other, though he always seemed to be outshined by his more popular sibling. This was from playing games to later coding them together, and one of those games would turn out to be one of the more popular Quake mods, Team Fortress. Though Robin got a lot of the credit for this game's success, Robin was left to no such fanfare. Brian would start to resent his brother, but still work alongside him when Valve bought the series. They then ported the series to the Source engine. That would be the version known today as Team Fortress Classic. Yet another game where most of the credit would go to his well-esteemed brother Robin. It was at this point Brian would also be diagnosed with... Hold on, this is actually a serious moment here, I'm sorry. I'm crying.
Come on, come on, get the giggles out.
It was at this point Brian would also be... Okay, hold on, all right. Oh my
God, we're never gonna finish this. It was
at this point that Brian would also be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
No. What? Oh no.
Pancreatic oh my f***ing God, we're never gonna get through this. Go on.
He feared he would die.
Azel, mute everyone. So that we cast this
No, we need to see our reactions.
It's the point of this.
I removed everyone's access to the soundboard, so that should be fixed at least.
He feared he would die with every lasting impact he had made being taken by Robin. This resentment had turned into rage as Team Fortress 2 would come out, with his credit yet again being dwarfed by that of Robin's. He was furious, but powerless to do anything due to his conditioning worsening in the past 9 years. After 9 years of pancreatic cancer,
it's finally here.
Hopefully, it will have been worth the wait.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's not, no!
That's where this is going.
No, that's not it. I was just making a joke. Alright. That's it. After 9 years. And no conclusion at all. Alright. Alright, his doctor informed him that his untimely demise would soon arrive. He would set out in a fit of rage to attack his brother. You always think that you're the team captain. A brawl would ensue that resulted in the death of Brian Walker. But just like in life, Brian would just as soon attach himself to Robin's work as a ghost. In the years following the incident, there would be strange activity on Brian's old Steam account, going online, offline, sporadically, and even the bio changing to Robin is a murderer. In all caps before the account would go private indefinitely. It's dramatic.
Hold up.
The strangest things are that people would start seeing mysterious players in game they would be spawned on a foggy version of 2-Fort, almost like you turned the render distance down in a Minecraft world. And amongst the fog, if you so choose to explore that far, you will see a purple glow. And if you were to approach it, you would be greeted by a soldier. But this soldier would be different. His skin would be a grisly gray. His colors would be faded. And finally, the purple glow would be emitting from the hat on his head, which was an unusual team captain hat with a purple flame atop it. Players who have encountered it would quit the game entirely and all of a sudden despise Robin Walker. So if you join they would hate his guts. They would want him dead. So if you join a 2-Fort server that seems empty, just know it's not. Brian is waiting just beyond the fog.
The heavy update.
All right.
Oh no.
No,
Guys, calm down. Okay.
It's been over 2,000 days since the last Team Fortress 2 update. That's over 5 years. Since 2017, I've been logging into Steam every single day, hoping, yearning for the next anticipated, long-awaited heavy update. Wake up, check for updates, and sleep. Wake up, check for updates, and sleep. It's more habitual than anything else at this point. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what year it was that I lost faith, but I haven't actually expected anything to happen or even played the game at all for quite some time now. However, day 2435 was different. I woke up, I logged into Steam, and I decided that I would play a few rounds purely for nostalgia's sake. Maybe I could convince myself that I didn't need any new content for my favorite character to still enjoy the game. Maybe everything is fine as it is. Or maybe not, I thought to myself as I gripped my desk in anticipation while eagerly watching the update progress bar ever so slowly crawl towards completion. Normally, this kind of thing wouldn't have interested me at all since the game still receives the occasional localization files. However, this particular update was 24 gigabytes. A number big enough to make me choke on my drink when I read it. I was surprisingly early to this update. I mean, I didn't know exactly what time it had been released, but it must have been sometime in the past few minutes preceding, because when I hopped online to check what people had to say about the exciting news, I couldn't find anything. Not a single post anywhere. And believe me when I say I had the time to look while this elephantine update installed.
And bro had the dictionary next to him, writing this.
After some time of browsing, the game finished its unusually long update and booted up. I stared in confusion for a moment at the new start menu. There was a blog post from Valve at the far right simply titled, "The heavy update is here." Strangely, underneath the title, all the text was corrupted and unreadable. While that was weird, it wasn't what held the puzzled expression on my face. After all, the game is over 10 years old, so a little bit of source engine spaghetti is sure to mess up some text every now and then. The thing I couldn't take my eyes off of was the render of the heavy they had elected to stare at me in the eyes every time I booted up the game for the next few months. He was posed normally, but his face carried a very peculiar expression. His eyes were opened wide with an unusually happy grin sitting inches below. It was the kind of happy you see on a person who just received bad news that they need to pretend is good. It's hard to describe exactly, but if I didn't know better, I would say that it was the expression of someone who was looking directly at me rather than a flat image on a slightly curved screen. My attention was broken by the notification of a friend of mine calling. I answered quickly. "Hey man, how's it going?" "Fantastic, actually. Did you see the new TF2 update?" "What update?" he replied. "The heavy update. It's out." No, it's not. I didn't get any updates. Dude, I'm literally playing it right now. Okay, whatever, man. Funny joke. I'll talk to you later. He hung up. What did he mean?
Friend, terrible friend.
He didn't even check Steam. He just said no lol goodbye.
Yeah, sure, dude. Okay.
What did he mean? The call left me in disbelief. How could he have not gotten it or even heard about this update? My assumption was that his internet was just slow, but I couldn't have been more wrong. That day, I felt like having a good old-fashioned 4-hour 2-4 grind session to knock out some of the new contracts. After about 45 minutes of patiently watching the TF2 logo spin while my game looked for an open server, I joined a game. After I chose my team and picked my class, the excitement I was feeling swiftly moved into confusion and then terror. There were two things wrong at that moment. The first
No.
No.
The first thing was that the server was dead silent. There wasn't a single other player on the map. The second thing, the one that I still can't forget, was the screaming.
Yeah, but you always join a game and there's a heavy screaming in the background.
That's
Normally
normal.
when you join join a game, the lovely Miss Pauling will come to you as a disembodied voice, making a clever quip before presenting you with an objective. This time I only heard her scream. In reality, it was only for a few seconds, but it felt like years. I swear I could hear the strain on her vocal cords. This wasn't just some voice actor, it was real.
Years? Okay, I'm sorry.
Just as soon as it had started, it ended, leaving my attention on the contract objective, which read, "Find the Heavy." Being my curious self, I walked the map up and down several times, across the quiet bridge, through the echoing hallways of Blue Base, down into the basement filled with the hum of countless unmanned computers, and finally through the narrow, wet sewers. The Source engine has a way of captivating you through all the ambient sounds, locations, and general liminality of the deserted servers. If you've ever felt uneasy while pushing the payload, this is probably why. It's also probably why I had to keep turning around thinking I heard footsteps of another player behind me. Eventually, I got bored and began to server hop a little bit, finding myself the desire to actually play the game. However, each and every one I joined was empty. It was the same thing time after time. Join a server, be told I need to find the Heavy, and leave. Around the 10th try, I started to notice that the Heavy on the title screen was different. Each time I booted up the menu, his expression seemed to get a little more distressed. His smile grew wider, but not any happier. The night grew old, and so did my mood. I ended the day in defeat, not a single game played before bed. I was restless. I felt like I was being watched all night. The brief time that I did sleep, I had nightmares of trade scams, hackers, and lost games. I woke up covered in sweat at 4:19 in the morning. My computer had been turned on and somehow opened up Team Fortress 2. I slithered out of bed and to my keyboard. When I arrived at the computer, I could hear the quietest sound emanating from my speaker. The sound of the Heavy. My gaze darted to the contract in the corner, which now said, "Don't let the Heavy find you."
What?
Oh, shit.
I heard the sound of a sandwich being eaten. I tried to close the game, but nothing happened. Instead, as the noise grew louder, I jammed my finger into the W key and sprinted in the opposite direction of the chewing. I ran and ran, but no matter where I went, where I seemed to go, the familiar voice line... Wait, what? No. No matter where I seemed to go, the voice lines got louder. I found myself in the corner of the 2-4 intelligence room. I turned around to the hallway to find somewhere else to run, but the Heavy lumbered into view. His legs took small, sharp steps. His arms and hands writhed and twisted slowly. The whole scene was lethargic and lifeless. These weren't Valve-created animations I had seen time and time again. These were the movements of a beast. His head snapped to me. His head snapped in my direction. His eyes were blood red and his teeth were sharpened to the point of knives. For a few moments, he stared at me with the same expression from the title screen. He screamed, "I'm coming for you!"
and began to run with his arms outstretched towards my computer screen. Just before he reached the camera, I force-closed the game and cut the power to my computer. Ever since then, I've been on edge. I've started to see the heavy everywhere, in pictures and clouds, even standing next to me out of the corner of my eye. I swear I can almost feel his breath on the back of my neck. Please, if you're reading this, delete Team Fortress 2 and do not update it. I always feel like I'm being watched now, so I don't sleep anymore. I'm even shaking as I type this. Whenever I doze off for even 5 minutes, I wake up to my computer back on with the game open, and I always close it the moment I see it, but something has felt different since that first time. The server is still empty. The contract reads the same, but the heavy is nowhere to be found.
TF2.exe.
That's fair.
No laughing. It's
Sorry.
It was roughly around 2 in the morning. I was snowed into my house due to a recent snowstorm. The only entertainment I had was what was online. I was scrolling through my DMs, filtering through the unsolicited pics when I stumbled across a message from an account I don't remember adding. The account was called Big Craig. The message read only. Shut up.
Craig.
The message read only Team Fortress 2 free download along with a link. Looking back, I wish I'd never clicked that link. Especially because there was no reason to. I mean, Team Fortress 2 was already free to play, but I digress. After being tempted with hot singles in my area, I eventually got to the download link and installed it and started to play. When I booted up the game, I had no items, no achievements, as if I had been booted up from a new Steam account. No weapons, no cosmetics, nothing. Damn it. I knew that gambling site was too good to be true. They've robbed all my items, I thought to myself. But then I realized this wasn't my Steam account. When I returned to the homepage, it displayed my name. Turn back now. I blatantly ignored the message and queued up for a game. However, when loading in, I saw that there was no VAC protection on the server. Probably Valve breaking again by adding an extra map to the game. And then I loaded in. In chat it read, "Welcome to the r/TF2 server." I was frozen. I was frozen. Shut the f*** up, Indy!
No, r/TF2, no!
I was frozen in my seat. I felt like I was about to throw up. I don't know what caused me to, but I picked my class, Scout, and proceeded on. I was holding a badly modeled weapon when I loaded in. It was probably made by some blenderoid like his animation.
What did you shot him for?
I'm sorry, Hizzy, I love you.
What are you saying him for? What do you do?
He's nice.
I went to shoot an enemy scout holding the same awful weapon I had. However, he got the first shot in. And when he got his first shot in, I instantly exploded. I stared dumbfounded at my screen at what had just happened. I went to my loadout screen to check the stats. Plus 10,000 damage, minus 10% clip size. I vomited at the sight of this, as I realized what it was. I was stuck using weapons made by Redditors. Filled with a mix of fear and rage, I leaned forward towards my keyboard, still covered in sick, and respawned, ready to get my revenge. I snuck up onto the scout whilst he was taunting, and hit him with the cleanest meat shot I've ever hit. Right then, a voice echoed over voice chat. It sounded like nails on a chalkboard. It was a 12-year-old kid. Dude, that wasn't very wholesome.
No.
I don't remember. Shut up. I don't remember anything afterwards. The paramedics found me days later, out
Oh,
cold
Ryan
on the
just
ground.
dead.
Shut anything after. All right, just let me finish and I'll explain. I don't remember. Shut up. I don't remember anything after. The paramedics found me days later, out cold on my ground, with blood coming out of my ears. They say all the neighbors had heard for the past couple of days was the USSR anthem blaring from my house. So Reddit, am I the for killing the scat?
Thanks. It was a Friday night like any other. Hi, my name is Indy, and the title of this one is Unturned Returns.
This will be a real caper.
It was a Friday night like any other. After a long day of school and homework, I finally found some free time to play my favorite game, Team Fortress 2. I always play on trade servers. I like to make at least a couple of refined metal profit each play session, though I mostly just walk around the map interacting with others. I decided to get on Trade Plaza 2, a classic map I've been playing for however many years now.
Very classic.
I got on call with my buddy Leslie TF2 on Discord, and we started playing whilst voice chatting about random stuff. A few hours into the night, I receive a trade request. The username was just a garble of glitched text, but I figured it was just an NG Steam user. For my most prized possession, an unusual high five taunt, he offered a measly 2 scrap metal. My friend and I started laughing in call. How dare he make such a pathetic trade? Call him an idiot in the trade window, and promptly decline. We continued to play as normal until 30 minutes later I get another trade request. It was the same guy. He starts to write, "I'm here to make the trade worthwhile." My friend and I already start laughing. Leslie said that he might just offer a reclaimed metal instead, and we both laugh. Though as my trade refreshes, my laughter turns into shock. He offered an item I had never seen before. It was a hyper-realistic severed human hand. Beaten.
Whoa, holy... Is it unusual?
It was beaten. It was beaten, bloody, bruised, and unique quality.
It was retro.
Damn it.
That's a shit I
No one usually.
don't do the trade.
At least you can get a vintage.
Yeah.
Severed hand.
I figured it might be from some zombie game on Steam like Unturned.
No.
But as I hover over the
Why are you
item,
taking a jab at Unturned?
but as I hover over the item, no text shows up. He adds another item. It looked like a person's intestines. Nearly vomited. I tried to check his profile, but Steam refuses to load it. He writes a message in the trade window. Is this worth your while now? I reject this request again and I continue playing. As I play, I start to notice that more and more players are idling, which might be typical for a trade server, but the sheer volume of AFK people was nothing like I had ever seen before. My friend and I start to discuss the weird trades again, and speak of the devil, I hear the trade request sound. It goes something like, "Down." I open it once more.
Oh, did you do that for the actual game? Are you the one that made that sound effect?
I also did the dual da-da-da-da-da.
Indy, oh my god.
Oh, fuck.
Wait. Did you make the like MVM canteen sound as well?
No, that was Robin Walker.
Oh.
I hear the trade request sound. I open it once more, only to immediately hold in my vomit. 7 severed heads, all brutally detailed, with pained and panicked expressions as they sit on my screen lifeless. I stand there in shock, disgusted. My friend doesn't believe me. I attempt to screen share, but as I hit the go live button, another notification rings through my ears. Not good enough? He asks. How about this? Before I knew what was happening, my friend screamed in agony, and his connection distorted and he disconnected from the call. Seconds later, his severed head shows up in the Steam trade window.
No!
What the frick?
I think you might want to give up that taunt.
Dude, I think it's time to give him the taunt,
He's
man.
completely awestruck.
I tab
I
back.
think you gotta just accept the trade, man.
Not worth my while.
No, not worth.
Throwing 2 scrap and I'll jump to it.
Not with the while, sorry.
I tab back into TF2 only to realize that the whole rest of the server is AFK. The reality dawns on me. I get up from my computer as I attempt to close the trade window, all the severed heads with black nothingness where they are eyes laid, turned to face me in unison. I pause for a moment as they all start screaming, mouths gaping open. I unplug my speakers, yet the sound just still comes out. I tried to shut off my PC to no avail. I start to tear up as the hopelessness of the situation sets in on me. And then, through some stroke of luck, the power in my apartment goes out, and my computer and speakers shut down. I've not heard from my friend Leslie since then, and I've not had the balls to tell anyone this happened. I'm writing this because I'm going to log back into that server now. If I do not return, my name is Pyro Joe. Know my story.
Oh my god!
Are you kidding me, Pyro Joe?
My name is Jeremy, and the story I'm about to tell is all true, and it happened over 10 years ago. I was a freshman in college, and I spent all my free time playing Team Fortress 2 by Valve. It's a game I still love to this day, but one I'm afraid of playing ever since the incident all those years ago. It was around Halloween of 2010. The first ever real Scream Fortress update had just come out, and I had spent weeks playing it trying to farm achievements with my friends. 2 particularly valuable items were the haunted metal scrap and the head of the horseless headless horseman. It was the first boss character, and boy did he give me the creeps. The way he would appear from hell, surrounded by a deep purple flame and his horrible laughter that would instill terror in every player, and you could never get close enough to kill him because he would just stun you and cut your head off. He was annoying for sure, but I'd say more terrifying than anything. Long hours past midnight were haunted by his insane laughter and screams, and I failed again and again to kill him. I just knew I would never get those achievement items. It got to the point where even my dreams were full of his laughter. I could just hear him saying, taunting to me, "You'll never get my scrap. I'll take every head you throw at me and add it to my collection." One night I woke up from another nightmare, more determined than ever to finish what I started. The only bad part was, Scream Fortress was already over. I missed my chance to get my items. Or so I thought. I found myself on a Minecraft-themed trade map, and every 5 minutes, you-know-who would spawn in. Except this time, he was isolated, he couldn't move, and he couldn't attack. I mean, if you got close, he could, but it was perfect. I could kill him as many times as I wanted. "Take that, pumpkin face," I said to him. It was fun now. It was fun for me now. I could spam stickies, rockets, anything I could to see how fast I could kill him. My revenge was complete, and the achievement items were mine. I was having so much fun that I didn't notice it was already morning outside. I didn't realize how much time had passed. So I killed him again, and again, and again. It was fun for me now, but I realized it was morning. So I set up one last sticky trap to kill the horseman once more before I turned the game off. But something was different. Right before I detonated my stickies, he looked at me. Yeah, I know, he's supposed to look at you, it's how he tracks you in-game, but this was different. His head moved, his eyes moved, he looked at me, and his usual static face began to frown and become stern. I looked in the chat box, and I saw, in dark purple letters, Horseman in all caps. "Jeremy, if you keep cheating, there will be consequences." What the f? Okay, that had to be an admin with me or something, so I typed back, "Scout forever," that was my Steam name, "Eat dumbass. Yeah, that'll show him. So I detonated one last time and killed him again. Right as I was about to leave the server, he typed something again. Horseman. That's one too many, Jeremy. You had your fun, and now it's my turn. What the f***? He respawned quicker than usual and began to actually run towards me. He's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to stand idle. I quickly left the server before he could get me. Can't get me if I'm not playing that server, idiot, I said to myself, feeling rather smug. I needed to calm down, so I hopped on a game of Dust Bowl to calm my nerves. I was totally dominating the scoreboard, too. People were talking shit in chat, and I felt much better. But everything changed when we capped the last point in the first area. The game didn't end. Everyone was confused, thinking it was just a glitch. But then, he spoke in the chat again. Horseman. Because one of you cheated against me, I'll be cheating against all of you. You're all it! And then the horseman spawned in on the control point. Players were freaking out in the voice chat, wondering just what the hell was happening, especially by now since the Halloween event was over. Things were different, though. The horseman was faster than usual, and he was enveloped in a dark purple flame. He killed another player in front of me, and for some reason, the animation was exaggerated and much more realistic than how TF2 normally looks. I watched a sniper get his head completely severed with blood pouring out. Then I noticed in the chat, instead of saying player disconnect by user, it said player terminated in dark purple letters in all caps. And then they were kicked from the server.
No.
People were freaking out and screaming about how they couldn't disconnect from the server. I tried hiding in spawn, but it was no use. The horseman found me and entered my spawn. I couldn't escape. I was seconds from dying, and in a state of panic, I unplugged my computer and turned it off. For a split second, I saw the face of the horseman staring at me as the game shut down. I rubbed my eyes and I checked the time. Oh, class is in 10 minutes. I played all night and was almost late to school. So I cleaned myself up and dragged my tired and frightened body out to my classroom. I made my way to class and tried to ignore the moment from earlier and how tired I was. It was raining outside, and I was bored out of my mind. The teacher was blabbing on, but I couldn't care. I couldn't stop thinking about that game. Was it some kind of special server plugin that gave him new animations? Why did it only change when I was about to leave? Why? How was he able to spawn in Dust Bowl and kill all those players? I just couldn't understand it. That's when I looked outside, and when the lightning flashed, I saw him outside my window. He was staring at me, the rain was covering over him, he was real! Jeremy! 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 I screamed because I wasn't sure what else to do. Just to realize it was my teacher standing in my face. He was the one calling my name, not the horseman. I looked back to the window, and it was just an old pumpkin left over from Halloween. I felt myself going crazy, so I excused myself and went to the bathroom to splash some water on my face. I felt a little bit better, but when I finished drying my face, the lightning flashed outside again, and in the window, in the mirror behind him, I saw him! Horseman, no! I quickly turned around, but nobody was there. Just a hallucination. I was all alone in the bathroom, and I had to pee. I went to a nearby stall and let it all out. Then the bathroom door swung open. Seems normal, of course. But there was no sound. Nobody taking a leak. Nobody washing their hands. Nobody nothing. I sat on the toilet, and I lifted my feet up, trying to hide the fact that I was in there. I saw under the stall a massive pair of boots slowly walking towards me. Thud, thud, thud with each step. It paused, and it kicked open the stall door next to me. Oh shit, I thought to myself. It walked over to the stall on my right and did the same thing. I was next. I knew it. I said out loud, "Hey, if this is some kind of prank, knock it off. Halloween is over." The pair of boots were now standing directly in front of my stall, and I heard them speak in a horrible, shrill voice. "Halloween can't be over. You seem to have no problem killing me over and over, Jeremy." "What?" "I think it's only fair that since you broke the rules and cheated, so do I." And then he laughed. He laughed in that horrible voice from the game. The horseman was real! Acting fast, I quickly crawled under the gap and into the next stall as he began to grab and shake the door that I used to be in. Then I heard him bring it out, and with a quick sheen, he unsheathed his massive axe and began cutting the door down. The stall door broke under its weight, and I watched the toilet get completely sliced in half. He rested the axe beside him and slowly bent over until his eyes peered into mine. His malformed face shone itself under the gap between the stalls and was staring right at me. His eyes were like fire. He looked into me. He was real, and he spoke. "You're it!" He grabbed me, but I was able to get free, and I ran as fast as I could outside the bathroom. My teacher was waiting for me outside. "You sure were taking a long time in there." He couldn't finish a sentence because the bathroom door was burst down. The horseman stood in the doorway covered in dark purple fire, his axe in both hands, ready to slice me down. "What is that thing?" I shoved my teacher out of the way, and the horseman turned to look at him instead. "You're it!" And in 1 second, he sliced his head clean off. Blood sprayed everywhere as his body fell limp to the ground.
No more school.
No more school!
Scout forever!
I could...
Scout forever!
Okay, it's almost done. It's almost done.
Oh my god.
I could hear a shrill organ in my ears, and I could tell that I was it once again. I ran away as fast as I could, his laughter getting closer and closer behind me as he killed all those in his way. "Everyone, get out of my way!" I ran through the hallways trying to get back to my dorm room. Maybe if I could turn the game back on, he'll go away? I managed to avoid him long enough to find my way back to my room, but I knew there was no time. I was still being hunted, and I was on borrowed time. I plugged in my PC and waited for it to slowly turn back on. There was a knock at my door. I froze in place, but it was a gentle, non-threatening knock. I slowly approached my door and heard from the outside, "Dude, let me in! The school's gone crazy!" It was my dorm mate, Dylan. I moved to open the door for him, but then his knocking became more fierce, like something was being bashed against the door. "Come on in, Jeremy, let me in! Won't you open the door for a friend?" It was the horseman. He smashed his fist through the door, and he was holding Dylan's severed head in his hands and speaking in his voice! I crawled back to the computer and started booting up TF2. This had to work, otherwise I was dead. "Open the door, Jeremy! I'm not done with you!" He stuck his head through the hole in the door. "Open up or I'll let myself in!" TF2 had finally started up, and before I had the chance to do anything, a massive axe came down and crushed my computer. Nuh-uh-uh! I was backed into a corner. I couldn't do anything. I was about to die. My fight-or-flight reflexes kicked in, and I mustered all my strength I could to swing my fist, and I punched him as hard as I could. I opened my eyes. His axe was inches away from my forehead, and he froze in place. "You! What did you do?" "Huh?" Then I realized. I swung with my fists. Just like Heavy! I punched him with my melee weapon, tagged the horseman himself as it! Bastard! Cheating again! No! As if he couldn't help himself, the horseman began to rapidly chop at his own body, cutting off limb after limb and leaving a gashing slash in his chest. He was killing himself because he was it! Yeah! Eat He looked at me with hatred in his eyes as he continued to kill himself. "Next time, Jeremy! I could hear the organ playing his defeat jingle in my mind. The horseman was dead, and I was safe. Although others died, at least I was able to live.
Is that how it ends?
That is such
Years? No, there's two more sentences.
a wailing ending. At least I lived.
10 years passed, and after years of therapy and government investigation, I'm living much more comfortably now. I still occasionally play TF2, but never anytime near Halloween. I checked in for the other Scream Fortress event, sure, but you can imagine how I felt when they started recycling content and the Horseman was brought back in 2014 and every year since. Ever since that day, I've made sure to always follow the rules, so to speak, when it came to Halloween bosses. And if you ever start to doubt my story, just take a look at my Steam inventory. because he made sure to leave a message for me on the items I got from him.
Okay, my one is called freethought.bsp. All right, are you ready? Okay.
BSP.
Personally, I've been having a blast with the. Wait, no, that's my summer script. Hang on.
That's just straight up your video.
Freethought.bsp. It was a dark, cold night. My parents had left me home alone for the weekend, and the only sounds that kept me company were those of the rain and my fellow friendly engineers on 2-Fort. I was guarding the intel, my favorite map. All was normal. The game was a permanent, endless standstill, and I had 4 points because I said I stink at the game. Because my mom never lets me play shooting games. Alright, okay. Anyway, I was playing at the intel room, but something was different. I had been in the room guarding the intel by myself, and no one was attempting to push. What the friggity diggity frack? I said to myself in a calm yet uneasy tone. Maybe everyone is AFK. It is pretty late. I had fallen asleep before playing this boring ass map in class before. Perchance. Hello? Is anyone out there? Please! I said to myself to check if my mom was home. I spun back in my chair and stared at myself in the mirror. My can't keep calm, I'm a gamer shirt helped me keep up my spirit. I knew that the gaming must go on. And then you gotta put on the third Mario brother on screen. Okay, alright. Okay. Part 2. A 5-minute investigation.
Part 2.
This must be a 5-minute investigation, I said to myself, quoting my number one hero, Zelmaxo. As the gaming intensified, I started to notice my surroundings change. The intelligence started spinning 0.5 times slower. I know this because I got a GCSE 4 in maths. I decided to investigate further. After a 5-second turbo to ease my fears, I ventured out.
5 seconds.
I ventured out of the intel room. That's when I found myself on a map I had not queued for. For you see, I had entered the room I'd never seen. For you see, again, it was like 2-4, but the colors were off. It was no blur, no Weezer red. It was the rare and unheard black team. At this point, I knew something was up. I had watched enough Zane custom weapons to know we're not in regular TF2 anymore. Maybe the own clan were behind all of this. At this point, there was only one thing to do. Re-queue! But when I pressed escape, something popped up in chat. Not so fast, Humphrey. How did he know my name?
Please take it. Just pause 5 seconds.
Humphrey.
Okay, I, Hungry the Ford Humphrey, have been officially doxxed. Under my breath, I quietly say to myself, it's so over, but no one upvoted. The shame made me die immediately as Drake embarrassing echoes in the voice. Void, the end.
Half of that was just inside jokes.
So this is called the 2-Fort Conundrum. A bit of a personal story. So I had an old friend of mine, an old friend group actually, who I used to play TF2 with every day. It wasn't the normal for one of us to be offline, even for a little bit, but this time I had no idea that it would be the last time I would ever speak to one of my friends ever. It happened on what we assumed to be a normal night of TF2 casual with the gang, but tragedy struck when my friend Terrence, right under our noses, just ended up in a really bad situation. We're all playing a regular game of 2-Fort, shooting friendlies, bullying snipers. All that I saw of Terrence that night was him getting really angry at a friendly in the enemy team, and after that, we all disconnected and went to bed. Next morning, I was informed by Terrence's family that he wasn't home, and they couldn't find him. That was the first thing I had to process that day, so naturally I panicked a little and decided to go out for a drive and see if I could find him somewhere in town since we didn't live too far apart from each other. With his families, the authorities, and my other friends, we led a search that lasted about a week until I found something interesting about Terrence online. The following is a Steam activity message post from Regretful1. That's Terrence's account name on Steam. It's TF2 page. Team Fortress 2 was my favorite game. And it was my only game. I didn't really make enough money from my simple day job to afford any games, so I just stuck to TF2, and like most Saturday nights, I decided to queue up for a simple game of casual CTF with my friends, as those often tend to last longer and be filled with more or less try-hard players. We sat staring at the main screen for a solid 20 seconds when suddenly we found a game. However, something felt off. I didn't use any specific HUD or have any mods installed, and yet the green button that swoops down from the top and usually says ready, instead was a dark shade of red and said prepare. I barely had the time to completely realize the change before my mouse clicked it. And what I didn't know is that it was the first biggest mistake I would ever make that night. After spending another 3 solid minutes on the loading screen, which was normal because my PC was not very good, it was the lower end of low-end PCs, I was into the game. I selected the demo man and spawned at the red base of 2 Fort. 2 Fort was my favorite map. I used to play there for hours and hours non-stop, jumping on snipers who had misfortune of wandering on the battlements at the wrong time, stealing the intel from nesting engineers and running off into the sewers with a friendly heavy for help. I love it all. But there's always been something strange about it. You see, like, both bases look really similar to each other, yet one is a gravel factory and the other is a farm. The farm is not real, however. The cows are made of cardboard, and there's hay in places there shouldn't be. There are no plantations, and why would a farm be equipped with the same computer and spy tech server room as the factory? I would think about this detail sometimes, but I wasn't back to playing the game and not thinking about it too hard. This was when a player named Zero Lufterger joined the game.
Okay.
Despite the odd name, no one thought anything of the guy and seemed like an average friendly who liked to go around the map T-posing as a scout using the mad milk in spawn. I did notice a little detail though that bothered me. The scout's face animations were completely maxed out for me, giving him an eerie, unrealistic, toothy smile with his eyes wide opened. No one else could see it though, so I assumed the computer had a bad graphical issue again. But it never went away through the whole game. I kept running away from him because I wanted to remain friendly and he also kind of scared me. But for some reason, something took over me, and as I was fighting for my life in the blue sewers, I hit him with a critical hit grenade. This was the second biggest mistake I ever made that night.
Oh no.
Zero Lufterger added me on Steam afterwards. I hesitated to accept the friend request, but I thought maybe I could use the opportunity to apologize and ask how they did what they did with their face. But instead of sending me a message, the Steam called me. Who even does that? Anyways, I pick up by accident and I'm greeted with a long, raspy breath. At that point, I was so creeped out that I closed everything, Steam, TF2, and even TeamSpeak, that I was in with my friends. Saying I had something to do real quick to leave. I was thinking of turning off my computer and calling it a night, but curiosity took the better of me and I reopened Steam to look deeper into his profile. It was completely blank. No games, no friends, no posts. His profile picture was a dark, shadowy figure resembling the scout from TF2. As I was looking at it, the picture began to look alive, and I was about to unfriend him and close Steam, but I could swear the picture just blinked at me before I did. Frick this dude, I'm going to bed, I said out loud to myself as I shut down my computer.
Frick this dude.
Laid in bed. Laying in bed, I thought about what just happened, but I couldn't make any sense of it as I fell asleep. The next day, I got out of bed and got ready for my day. However, as I was leaving my house, I noticed the street in front of me was not the same street anymore. The sky was a bluish gray, the air had a horrible smell of sewer water, and there were bullets and blood on the ground ahead of me. It was a completely mirrored version of my house. Along with my driveway, the walkway leading up to my front door, everything. The only difference? It was red. I looked to the right, and there was a metal fence blocking the path to the road. Same to the left, no cars were passing. Well, not exactly, there were cardboard cutouts of cars in the distance. Impossible, I thought to myself. I'm not exactly sure what took over me at that moment, but I began to walk towards the mirrored house. I walked with purpose, I had to go there. I walked up to the house, I opened the door with my keys, then made it through the house. Luckily enough, my key still fit the same door, I guess. Everything was the same, just backwards. I made my way to the bedroom. As the door was swinging open, I was faced with a level 3 sentry defending my floating briefcase on my bed.
What?
The sentry shot at me and my left arm flew off.
It's just
Not my left arm!
No! No!
I ran back to my house, stumbling my way through the streets again. And now, I am back in my original house. As I was writing this, I looked out my window, and I saw Zero Lufterger again, followed by a complete team of similar-faced mercenaries. They're coming. I don't know how much longer I have, or how much longer I will live with my missing arm and the mercenaries. I found the computer. For some reason, the internet still works. It says that a week has passed. My friends have been looking for me. To all of you, you will never find me. I am doomed to die here alone on 2 Fort. I can hear the distorted screams of a heavy with a minigun revving up behind my door. End quote.
Oh my god.
And this was the message sent to me today on his Steam TF2 activity. You'd be led to think the conclusion of this message is that he wishes for us to stop looking for him. But there's just one problem with that. Yesterday, Terrence was found at his home, with a wide smile, acting as though nothing happened. Is my friend okay? End of the post.